So in this video I'm going to create a Node.js server based on Express.JS framework. It will be a REST API endpoint that will be serving some movies, a list of movies to the users, and it will also enable the users to submit a new movie along with a rating. And this project was inspired by this tweet by Anthony Herbert and Ben Awad. This is a two-part series of videos. The first one by Anthony Herbert is a video that creates a Flask-based REST API endpoint server. It's based on Python. Flask is a Python framework. It serves a list of movies from an SQL database and also enables the users to update this database. The other video by Ben Awad is a front-end part of this project. It's based on React and it enables us to interact with the backend. As you can see in this video, we get a list of movies along with ratings, and we can also submit a new movie along with a rating to the database. This is a video that I will be creating a server, a backend server, but this time not based on Python and Flask, but based on Node.js and the Express.js framework. You will find the links to these two videos in the description of the video below. So let's get started. I'm going to close this. So I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. I have a new workspace open here. So I'm going to add a new empty folder. The folder is called Node Movie. I'm also going to open the terminal, and I'm going to initialize my project by running the npm init command and -y. This will create a basic package JSON with some information about the project. Now we will be using Express.js for this project. Express.js is a backend framework for Node.js. It will enable us to quickly create API REST points. So I'm going to install Express by running the npm install express command. You will see that now it is I have a new dependency here in my package JSON, the Express framework. And now I'm going to clear my console and of course create a new file where my application will reside. So in this file I will just sketch my basic some basic sections. So in here I will be importing the dependencies. I will be configuring the database. I will create two routes. Movies route. This will be listing all the available movies from the database, and there will be also another route that will be adding a new movie to the database, and then I will start my server somewhere here. So let's start by creating a basic Express.js server. So first of all I will have to import the Express module and then instantiate a new Express app by running the Express module. And now I'm going to create two basic routes. This will be a get and this will be a post route where the user can post some data. So app get to create this route, movies, and the routes accept a callback as a second parameter in Express.js with a request and a response object, and I will do the same for the second route, but this time I will be using the post route because I want the user to post some data to the server. So now I have my two routes set up, and then I'm going just to return something to the user. So first of all, I'm going to set the status to 200, successful response, and then I'm going to add, let's say, movies, some very simple text, so that I'm seeing something in my screen. And then here on the post, I'm going to also return status of 200 and send adding movie. And the last thing I will do for this basic setup is to start my server on the 5000 port. For this project, I am not going to use Node to run my application, but rather I'm going to use a very nice tool called NodeMon, which launches the Node server, and every time I change something, let's say I'm adding something here, it automatically restarts the server upon this the changes. I have set up the autosave command here, so every time I change something, the file is automatically saved. So let's check our server on the front end. I'm going to go to localhost and movies, so I get to see the movies. This route works as expected, but then if I try to access the add movie route, I will get an error because this is a GET request and this route accepts POST requests. So for this reason, I'm going to use the Postman application to do the POST requests for testing. So I'm going to hit my localhost at 5000 with an add movie route. I'm going to select post and I'm going to send. So I see a response and everything is working as expected. Now the next thing I will have to do is to import two more modules. The first one is called body parser. This enables us to work with the post request contents. So I'm going to enable body parser for JSON requests. So whenever the user submits a post request with some JSON data, this will take care of the body, the JSON body of the post request. And then I will also have to import, I will do it here, the SQLite 3 module, which will enable me to use an SQLite database. So as you can see, I have some kind of error here. Cannot find module SQLite 3, so I need to npm install SQLite 3 and also the body parser modules. So we have SQLite 3 and body parser packages updated. I'm going to run NodeMon again. Now this time it's green, everything works. So the next step is to create a database and create a table called movies that will enable me to insert, get movies and insert new movies. So I'm going to create a new file, and I will call it init.js. This will be used just once to initialize the database. So I'm going to use this the SQLite 3 module here, SQLite 3, and then I'm going to get a new 3 database. I'm going to get a connection to a new database. The file that will be storing the database data will be called database DB, and I also need a callback here in this for the connection. So I'm trying to connect to a database called database DB to open a file. If the file is not there, it will be automatically created. So first I have to check if there's an error, but I will error connecting to database, and otherwise I'm going to run an SQL command and populate the database with a new table. So I'm going to use the db run command. First I'm going to create the SQL query. So create table movies, and the movies table will have an ID, must be null. It will have a title of type text, not null, and then a rating, integer, not null. Now this will create a new table, and of course a callback is also needed here. This is an asynchronous operation. So if there's an error when trying to create the table, I'm going to first close the connection and then console log the error. If everything is successful, I'm going to console log table successfully created, and I'm going to close also the database connection. So this is all we need to create a new database and a new table. Now as you can see, there's no database DB file here, so I'm going to stop the nodemon for now and run this file just once. So you see database table successfully created. So we have our database with a table. I'm going to use an application called DB Browser for SQLite, which will enable me to get a closer look at the database file. So I'm going to open the database DB. So as you can see, I have one table, the movies table, and I'm ready to go. So I can close this file. I will never use it again. This was just to initialize the the database. And now I'm going to create a connection to the database and try to work more on these routes. So first I'm going to set a constant db path, and I'm going to set it to the database file name. First, since there are no movies, I will go to the post route. So I will work on this route first in order to submit some movies and add some movie entries to the table. So I'm going to make a connection to the database, and I will use the SQLite here command. I will give it the path here, and now I have, of course, a callback, and I will check if there's an error. I will be console logging the error. If there's an error, something goes wrong with the connection to the database. If there's no error, I will have to return here, so to stop the function. And now I'm going to run another SQL command and submit the data from the user to the database. So before doing that, I'm going just to take this line, put it here, and I'm going to change the send command to the JSON. Now here I'm sending back a JSON text to the user, and I'm going to use the rec body. Now the request body parameter holds all the information that was submitted by the user. So now when the user posts some information in a JSON format, he will get back the same information. So I'm going to go to Postman here, and I'm going to add something to the post body. I'm going to select row, JSON, and I will create Avengers, the title, and the rating will be, let's say, 5. So let's check. So something has happened. Let's check. Of course, we are not running NodeMon, so let's check again. Okay, everything works. I'm getting back the result, the body of the request, so everything works as expected. And now I'm going to take this information and submit it and insert it into the database table movies. So I'm going to use the db run command, which accepts an SQL query, and I will first create the query here. So insert into movies, and title, rating, these will be the two values that will be submitted, and the values are submitted this way using an SQL query. So this is the SQL query, and in here I'm going to place these are just placeholders for the values, and here I will give the values to be placed here. So I'm going to take the title from the request body and the rating, and this would be placed in the title and rating table entries respectively. So and then last thing is, of course, a callback. This command also runs asynchronously, and I'm going to check okay, if there's an error, I'm going to return console log error, and also I'm going to close the database connection before returning the console log. Otherwise, I'm going to return a JSON object with a message entry successfully inserted to the database, and I will also give back the body that the user. So now with this command, when the user posts the JSON data, this data will be inserted into the database. So let's check first of all our database. As you can see, it's empty. So I'm going to go to Postman, and then nothing happens, so there's something wrong. SQLite constraint. The error is because I made a mistake in the initialization of the table. I forgot to add primary key to the ID. So SQLite, the database, expects an ID that was not given by the user, but by placing this primary key, the ID will automatically be created on every new entry by the database itself. So of course now I will have to remove the table. I will do it using this tool, and then I will run the init again. Okay, table moves exist. I'm going to delete these files and rerun the node init.js. So now I'm going to open the database again. So I have this integer title rating. Let's check our app now. The table is empty. I'm going to go to Postman. I'm going to send, and now we get the entry successfully inserted into the DB. I'm going to the refresh, browse data. Here's the data. I have an ID of 1, Avengers, and rating 5. So let's post another movie. I don't know, Captain America, I don't know, rating 4, successfully inserted. Let's see, we have 2 entries, so now I'm getting I'm posting the movies. So this route is now set up, and now I want to get the listing of the movies. So I'm going to the first route, the movies. Let's go back here. I can load movies here. I get this movies text, but I can also check this here on my browser, since this is a simple GET request. So now I'm again going to create a new connection to the database. And of course, a callback function. Now, if there's an error, I'm going to return console log error. Otherwise, I'm going to be dealing with a request. So now I want to select all the entries from the movies table. So I'm going to use the all database command. I'm going to use a select SQL query from movies, and then I'm getting a callback, but this time I'm getting also a second parameter which will contain the results from the database query. So again, I'm going to place this here, and I'm going to replace the JSON, the send command with the JSON, and I'm going to place the results here. So let's make this results, and then let's close the database connection. So let's check here. So now I'm getting back the results that I want. So this is a list of movies, but I need to make one more one last thing, because this is not the final format. Instead of just returning the results, I'm going to return an object with a movies property, and the movies will be the value. So this is again the movies, and now our application has finished and is ready to be connected with a front end. So now I'm going to check my application with the front end framework. I'm going to go to the GitHub repository, and I'm going to download the front-end React part. So I'm going to clone the repository by Ben Awad, and I'm going to go here, git clone the repository. It might take some time. Now I'm going to go to the repository and npm install everything that's needed. Now everything is ready, so I'm going to npm start, and I'm going to make this a background process. So now the front-end framework is running. So I get this error because my backend server is not running. Okay, I'm running on the wrong folder. So now I'm going to refresh, and as you can see in the front end, I'm getting the results that I included. So let's another movie with a rating of 3, and yet another cool movie with a rating of 5, and everything works as expected. Let's check our database, and now I have, and everything is ready. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know about your comments. Thank you for watching.